Hey there, Nick Venturella, ExpandGen. I just wanted to pop on here and give a little intro to what I'm about to share next, which is pretty interesting. So I've been using Google's Notebook LM for a little while, and I'm hopefully going to do a whole bit on that in terms of how to use it in job search kind of stuff for research stuff. Anyway, short little preview. But today, what I wanted to showcase was Dice recently came out with a 2025 tech salary report, and also Customer Marketing Alliance recently came out, or maybe it's been out for a little bit. I just recently maybe have seen it. Their annual salary report from all of 2024. And so what I did was I put these two things into Notebook LM, and there's a feature where Notebook LM will actually create a podcast between a male and female voice that's AI generated, and they're basically scouring these two reports to produce a podcast based on what information was inputted into the AI. So it's pretty interesting. I just thought I'd share it here. I think there's some good things in it. It does kind of talk about customer marketing and advocacy salaries bumping up, which I don't personally see as much. But also, I'm in a different geolocation than other people, so maybe that is the case elsewhere. But anyway, so there's some things like that you can see and listen out for. But overall, it's pretty interesting, and it's pretty amazing. So just check it out, and you can also download those reports in the description below. So, all right, take care.
All right, let's dive in. We're taking a close look at customer marketing salary trends for 2024. We've got two reports on deck today. Customer Marketing Salary Report 2024 and Dice Tech Salary Report 2025. Whether you're, eyeing a career move, hoping for a raise, or just like to stay in the loop, this deep dive is for you. Right off the bat, something jumped out at me. Global average salary, way up, but satisfaction, down. What gives? There's also some interesting stuff about how company culture, even things like team size or the type of product you work on can impact how much you earn. Let's break it all down.
Sounds like we've got a lot to cover.
We do. Let's start big picture, shall we? The Customer Marketing Salary Report says the average base salary is now, wait for it, $133,202. That's a pretty significant jump from last year.
Yeah, it's a big increase for sure. But the Dice Tech Salary Report, throws a little cold water on that. It points out that once you adjust for inflation, tech salaries in general have been kind of flatlining for like 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
So is this customer marketing bump just a temporary thing? Or is it like a real sign that the profession is becoming more valuable?
I'm leaning towards the latter, actually. I mean, we've seen something similar happening in tech in general. Dice mentions that even with all the layoffs, tech salaries are holding steady. It's like companies know they got to pay up for certain skills no matter what. Maybe customer marketing is just riding that same wave.
That's a good point. Companies might be reluctant to cut salaries for roles that are in high demand, even when they're making cuts elsewhere.
Yeah.
Really makes you think about the long-term value of having those specialized skills,
It does. Okay, so we talked global averages, but we all know location matters, right? North America is leading the pack at $148,193, with Europe trailing a bit at $98,588.
And even within North America, there are some interesting regional differences. Dice mentions that Florida had the biggest salary growth, and the South overall is seeing some pretty impressive gains. Could be a sign that those areas are becoming those new tech hubs. Something to think about if you're, open to relocating.
Definitely. But it's not just where you live, right? There are all these other factors, some of them pretty surprising, that affect your pay.
Oh, absolutely. The Customer Marketing Salary Report digs into some really specific details. Like, for example, the type of company you work for can make a big difference.
Yeah, the report shows something I thought was kind of counterintuitive. Product-first companies are paying the most, on average, $142,412, while customer-first companies are actually lagging behind at $123,684. Seems backwards, doesn't it? Shouldn't companies that are all about the customer be valuing their customer marketing teams more?
Right, you'd think so.
Yeah.
But there might be a perfectly logical reason for it. Think about it. A product-first company, their focus is on, well, the product. They're measuring success in terms of features launched, user adoption rates, ultimately revenue growth, right? And all of that ties back directly to what customer marketing does.
So it's all about those quantifiable results. Makes sense. But what about company size? Does that come into play at all?
Surprisingly, not as much as you might think. Both startups and those giant corporations are offering similar salaries in customer marketing.
Really? I always kind of assumed bigger company, bigger paycheck.
It's a common assumption. But smaller companies, especially in the tech world, are often willing to offer competitive salaries to attract top talent. They need people who can wear multiple hats, drive rapid growth, all that. But the Customer Marketing Salary Report does make one interesting point about team size. If you're looking to join a large team, the absolute biggest ones, those with 16 or more people, those are commanding the highest salaries. Could be that managing all the moving parts of those large-scale operations just demands, a premium. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see that. Bigger teams, more complexity, higher salaries. What about overall company size and revenue, though? Does that make a difference?
It generally does. Bigger companies, bigger revenue, they tend to pay more. There are some interesting exceptions in the middle ground.
Interesting. What causes those exceptions?
Well, those larger companies, they often have very structured salary bands, based on experience and level. And that can create some limitations. Even if a company is willing to pay more, you might hit a ceiling based on their predetermined band. So even if they're doing really well financially.
So company size matters, but it's not the whole story. We've talked about company culture, location, team size. What about the type of product a company focuses on? Does that make a difference in customer marketing salaries?
It's a great question. And the answer is a definite yes. The report shows that SaaS companies, software as a service, they're at the top of the pay scale. While companies that focus on physical products are lagging behind, and significantly. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm thinking in the SaaS world, customer relationships are everything, right? It's all about keeping people subscribed and engaged. So it stands to reason that customer marketing expertise is going to be in high demand and highly valued in that space.
Yeah. You got it. That constant need to nurture those relationships. In the SaaS world, it puts customer marketers right at the heart of the revenue engine. Okay, we got to talk about something else that's really important here. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, in customer marketing.
Absolutely. And the Customer Marketing Salary Report brings up some concerning findings. For example, on average, men are getting significantly higher bonuses than women, even though the gap in base salary is pretty small. What do you think's driving that?
It's a tough question. Are there unconscious biases happening when those bonus decisions are made? Or are there differences in how men and women negotiate for those bonuses? It's hard to say for sure, but it's definitely something that needs more attention.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just gender either. The report highlights pay disparities based on ethnicity, too. People identifying as part of an ethnic minority earn less on average, both in starting salaries and bonuses. It's a reminder that we've still got a long way to go to create a truly equitable workplace.
Yeah, it is. And it's not just about equal pay, It's about creating a culture where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to succeed. Companies need to be proactive in tackling those systemic inequities, from reviewing their hiring practices and promotion criteria to maybe offering mentorship and leadership development programs specifically for underrepresented groups. What steps do you think companies can take to make things more inclusive?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is data collection. The report itself mentions that the sample size for certain groups, like those identifying as LGBTQ+ or people with disabilities, is small. Without accurate and comprehensive data, it's tough to fully understand the problem and track progress towards solutions.
Yeah, you can't fix what you don't measure, right? And beyond just collecting data, companies need to actually listen to their employees, create those safe spaces for open dialogue. And anytime there's a report of bias or discrimination, they got to address it quickly and fairly.
Couldn't agree more. DEI can't just be something companies talk about. It has to be woven into the very fabric of their culture. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about how experience and responsibility play into those customer marketing salaries. No big surprise here. More experience usually means higher pay. Those with a decade or more of experience, they're earning the most, which lines up with pretty much every industry.
Right. Experience is valuable. But it does make you wonder, is that the only thing we should be valuing? What about potential, adaptability, a willingness to learn new skills?
Here's another interesting tidbit from the Customer Marketing Salary Report. managing more people doesn't always mean higher pay in customer marketing.
That's a curious finding. Maybe it suggests that leadership skills are being undervalued in the field. We tend to focus so much on individual expertise and those quantifiable results that maybe we're not doing enough to recognize and reward those who can effectively lead and mentor others. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good point. The ability to inspire, motivate, and guide a team is crucial, no matter how big or small that team is. Companies need to find ways to acknowledge and incentivize those leadership qualities. Speaking of incentives, let's talk about something the report highlighted. Overall satisfaction with pay in customer marketing is at an all-time low. What's going on there? Salaries are going up, but people aren't happy.
It's a combination of things, and some of it ties back to those broader trends we're seeing in the tech industry overall. Job security is a huge concern. We've seen, like a wave after wave of tech layoffs, and even if customer marketing isn't directly feeling the brunt of it yet, that anxiety is definitely trickling down.
Oh, for sure. If you see people in related fields losing their jobs, it's hard not to worry about your own.
Exactly. And on top of the job security worries, there's this growing feeling among customer marketers that they're not being paid what they're worth. They see how much their work impacts the bottom line, but they don't necessarily see that reflected in their paycheck.
So what can companies do to turn this around? How can they create a more positive and fulfilling work environment for their customer marketing folks?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something we'll definitely dig into more in our deep dive. But one thing is for sure, companies need to pay attention to those warning signs. If they want to attract and retain top talent in customer marketing, they have to address these concerns head on.
Agreed. Ignoring the problem won't make it go away. It'll probably just make things worse.
Exactly. Happy employees are productive employees, right? And in today's super competitive business world, companies can't afford to ignore the well-being and satisfaction of their customer marketing teams.
This has been a fascinating overview of the global customer marketing salary landscape. We've uncovered some really interesting trends, and I can't wait to dive deeper into the specific factors that are driving them.
Me too. There's so much more to unpack here. I think we're just scratching the surface of what's shaping the future of this really dynamic and evolving field.
Stay tuned. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? Really painted a detailed picture of what's happening with customer marketing salaries.
For sure. We started big global trends, and we're down to those really specific things like how company culture or the type of product can impact your pay. One thing that keeps coming up though is this connection between customer marketing and the tech industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good observation. The Dice Tech Salary Report, it has some interesting parallels that I think can help us understand what's happening in customer marketing. For one thing, both fields are dealing with a lot of job security fears. We're seeing, you can't open a news site without seeing, tech layoffs, right? And that's got to be having an effect on everyone. Kind of like a domino effect. Even if your company isn't doing layoffs, that feeling of uncertainty, across the whole industry, it's going to be weighing on people. Probably contributes to that low satisfaction we talked about earlier, too.
Definitely. When you don't feel secure in your job, it affects how you see everything, your salary included. But even with all the uncertainty, the DICE report makes this one point that's really interesting. Specialized skills are still super valuable. In tech, people who have those in-demand skills, especially in those really hot areas like AI, they're still commanding top dollar.
So what does all that mean for customer marketers specifically? What are the skills that are going to be, really sought after in the coming years, the ones that'll lead to higher salaries?
It's all about looking ahead, seeing where the industry's going. Think about the trends we're already seeing. Data is huge. Customer experiences are getting more and more personalized. Automation is changing how we do everything. If you can master those tools, those techniques that are driving all that, you're going to be in high demand.
So things like data analysis, customer segmentation, how to personalize things for different customer groups, maybe even some AI and machine learning.
You're getting it. But it's not just about knowing a little bit about these things. It's about being able to use them to actually get results. Being able to use your CRM to segment customers, personalize their journey, ultimately increase their lifetime value. That's the sweet spot.
And I bet there are certifications that can help people show off those skills, right? It's like a stamp of approval that says, hey, I really know this stuff.
Right. Certifications are they're a way to stand out, especially when there's a lot of competition for jobs. It shows employers that you're serious about staying ahead of the curve. Like, let's say you get certified in a specific marketing automation platform or a data analytics tool. That's going to catch someone's eye.
It's a way to show you're not just talking the talk. You can walk the walk.
Okay, but we focused a lot on technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
What about those soft skills? Do those have any impact on salary? Oh, they're huge. In fact, I'd say they're becoming even more important now. Technical skills might get your foot in the door, but it's things like communication, being able to collaborate, solve problems creatively, being adaptable. Those are the things that are going to help you succeed long term.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you can know everything there is to know about the technical side of things, but if you can't explain your ideas to anyone or work with a team or deal with, the everyday challenges that come up in any job, you're not going to get very far.
Right. And those soft skills are so important in customer marketing. You're always interacting with people, building relationships, trying to get people on board with things. Think about it. You might have an amazing customer segmentation strategy based on all this data, but if you can't explain it to your team, your boss, even your clients, it's not going to go anywhere.
Technical skills are the base. Soft skills are what get you to that next level.
I like that. And it's not just about landing the job. It's about doing well once you're there, moving up, and getting paid what you deserve. And that actually brings us to another point the Customer Marketing Salary Report brought up. There's this feeling among a lot of customer marketers that their pay isn't really matching the value they bring to the company.
That's a big theme in the report, yeah. Customer marketers are feeling undervalued, and it's part of why they're not happy.
It's a valid concern. Customer marketing, it often sits right at the intersection of marketing, sales, and customer success. It's this role that needs a very specific mix of skills, and a deep understanding of the customer journey. But sometimes it feels like what customer marketers do, it gets overlooked, taken for granted.
So what can customer marketers do about that? How do they make sure they're being paid what they're worth?
It starts with being your own advocate. Customer marketers need to step up and really be their own champion. They have to be able to explain what they do, show off their accomplishments, and demonstrate that they understand how all that contributes to the company's bottom line.
It's almost like they need to use their marketing skills on themselves, right? They're marketing their own value to their employer.
I love that. It's so true. The job market is competitive. You can't just sit back and hope someone notices how hard you're working. You have to actively promote your skills, your accomplishments, everything you bring to the table. You need to quantify your results. Show that return on investment.
Makes sense. But it can be hard to do that without sounding like you're, bragging.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not about bragging. It's about making a clear case. Document your successes, track your metrics, be ready to share that during your performance review. Position yourself as a strategic asset, not just someone who checks things off a list.
Shift the focus from here's what I did to here's what it actually meant.
Exactly. Connect the dots. Did your customer segmentation strategy lead to more conversions? Did your personalized email campaign improve retention? Did your onboarding process reduce churn? Those are the stories you need to be telling.
And having those numbers to back you up, that's got to help.
Oh, absolutely. Data is your best friend when you're trying to make your case. Numbers don't lie. If you can show your boss that you helped increase customer lifetime value by 10% or reduce churn by 5%, that speaks volumes.
It's about making that connection between your work and the company's profits super clear. But it's not just about, those performance reviews, right? It's about building that reputation all the time.
You got it. Be proactive, take initiative, always be looking for ways to add value. Stay up to date on what's happening in the industry. Share what you know. Be willing to try new things. Step outside your comfort zone.
Show them that you're not just there for the paycheck. You're there to make a real difference. So what does all this mean for our listeners who are, trying to figure out this crazy, constantly changing customer marketing world? What are the big takeaways?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that knowledge is power. If you understand the things that are shaping how much people get paid in this field, from those big global trends to regional differences to company culture to the skills that are in demand, you can make better decisions about your career, your earning potential. You could be proactive, not just react to what's happening.
Do your research. Stay informed. Keep learning. Keep growing. Be adaptable. Don't be afraid of change. And advocate for yourself. Know what you're worth.
You got it. And don't forget about networking. building those relationships with other people in your field.
Huh.
The more people you know, the more you learn, the better prepared you'll be for whatever comes your way. You might even pick up some tips on how to advocate for yourself from those who are doing it well.
That's a great point. Networking isn't just about finding jobs. It's about sharing knowledge, helping each other out, and learning from everyone's experiences. It's about building that community.
I couldn't agree more. And don't be afraid to ask questions, Find a mentor, someone who can give you advice. Explore all the ways you can grow professionally. The more you invest in yourself, the more valuable you'll be to employers.
It's like a positive feedback loop. You invest in yourself, you become more valuable, you earn more, and then you can invest even more.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
But don't forget, it's not just about the money. It's about finding a job that you're passionate about, that fits with your values and what you want to do in the long run.
Find that sweet spot, right? Where your skills and what you enjoy line up with what the market actually needs. When you find that, you're not just working, you're thriving.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It sounds like for customer marketers who are, willing to kind of roll with the punches, embrace the fact that things are always changing, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Totally. And it's not just about keeping up with the latest, software or whatever. It's about having that growth mindset, being curious, always wanting to learn more, get better at what you do.
I like that. It's not about getting to a certain point and saying, okay, I'm good, I know enough. It's about always learning, always growing. That's got to be part of your career.
Right. And remember, it's not always going to be, a straight line from A to B. There are going to be detours, roadblocks. You might even take a wrong turn now and then.
Oh, for sure. It's easy to get discouraged when that happens, especially when you see other people who seem to be doing it all perfectly,
Yeah, comparison is never a good thing. Focus on your own path, celebrate your own wins.
And I think it's important to remember you're not in this alone. There's a whole community of customer marketing folks who are going through the same things.
That's one of the great things about this field, honestly. There's a real sense of community. People are generally willing to help each other out, share what they know, offer advice.
We're all in this together, figuring it out as we go. And knowing that you have those people you can lean on, that makes a difference.
It really does. So reach out to your peers, ask questions, learn from what they've been through. You might be surprised how many people are happy to help.
And speaking of help, mentors. Don't underestimate how valuable a mentor can be. Finding someone who's been there, done that, who can give you advice, perspective, that's huge.
Absolutely. A good mentor, they can help you through those tough spots.
Yeah.
Help you see opportunities you might not have noticed, really speed up your growth.
Well, I think we've really dug deep today, explored the ins and outs of customer marketing salaries, from those big global trends to those really specific details like company culture and the types of skills that are in demand. We talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion, how the tech industry is impacting things, the importance of always learning and advocating for yourself.
And we talked about how important it is to keep learning throughout your career, to build those connections, to find those mentors who can help you on your journey.
So as we wrap things up here, what's the one big thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest thing is that the world of work, it's always changing. What's hot today might be old news tomorrow. But if you're willing to learn, to adapt, to be curious, you can not only survive these changes, you can thrive.
That's a great way to put it. And for our listeners who want to dive even deeper into all the data and insights we've talked about today, be sure to check out the full Customer Marketing Salary Report 2024 and the Dice Tech Salary Report 2025. Lots of great information in there.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing the limits of what's possible in customer marketing.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.